Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. And in today's weather forecast, we are going to be going over what we can expect throughout this week and even as we get into next week, which we will be tracking a couple of major storm systems that could bring a little bit of elevated severe weather potential and maybe even some heavy snow potential by the time we head into next week as well. So definitely make sure to stay tuned till the end, as it sure is going to continue to be on the cold side of things for a lot of people here in the United States. And of course, leave a like too as well. Those help out more than you know. And of course, they really help the channel out a lot. So make sure to like if you haven't already. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have down below. You guys can leave anything down below as long as it's respectful, and I will get to those right after today's weather forecast. But let's first start off by talking about today, as we are going to be tracking one of those smaller storm systems down here in Texas, which once again is going to bring a little bit of an elevated severe weather potential right around the Houston area, as the latest from the Colorado State University is hinting at a little bit of an isolated tornado threat down there in Houston. It's pretty low, but it's not zero, so we'll keep an eye on that very closely, as there could be a few, supercell storms capable of producing a tornado or two. Other than that, though, it doesn't really look to be anything too significant, as even the hail threat and as well as the wind threat are pretty low. But like I said, we'll definitely watch it closely, and the only thing I really want you guys to do is to be staying informed, just in case something changes. Otherwise, you guys probably don't really have to take this very seriously at all, as it doesn't really look to be too bad. And if we look at why the Colorado State University wants to show that marginal risk for severe weather, it's because the NAMO does want to show a little bit of supercell composite surging into the Houston area, which is pretty much just telling you your chances of a supercell. We're pretty much talking about a level 3 out of 50, which is pretty low, but it's not zero, so that's kind of why we are a little bit concerned about maybe a little bit of severe weather for today. But like I said, though, it doesn't really look to be anything too significant, though, as things, probably aren't going to be that crazy. But like I said, we definitely will be watching it closely, as we could be seeing some of these like small little storms like this, which can be considered supercells, especially when they're left alone, like this one right here, which is what the NAM model wants to show. So like I said, it's not like gonna be anything bad for today, but it obviously is gonna be something to watch for closely, as some of those, like I said, supercell storms might get their acts together. And if they do, like I said, it's best to stay informed, as things could definitely change. And then after that, we are going to be tracking a pretty big, change by the time we get into tomorrow, because we are kind of warming up a little bit today, but this is tomorrow, though. However, what we're going to see is a very big trough like this, dipping all the way down into the Ohio River Valley by the time we head into tomorrow, which will be for your Thursday. And as this cold air surges on in, this is going to bring well below average temperatures to the Ohio Valley, upper Midwest, Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, and as well as into the New England areas by the time we head into Thursday, which will be tomorrow. And at the same time, we will have a huge ridge out west, keeping most of this area out here dry. So any area that is located in the circle will likely see drier than normal conditions as we head into tomorrow. Now, that doesn't mean there's going to be no precipitation. That just means you guys are going to see less precipitation than you guys usually see this time of year. So make sure to keep that in mind if you do live out here to the west. But as that cold air surges on in, which is what we're most concerned about, we will also be seeing below average wind chills. Okay, the reason why this is below average is because we don't usually see see this cold of conditions this time of year, okay? We would usually see wind chills more in like the teens and the single digits up here in Minnesota, but instead we're seeing the negatives, while down here in the Ohio Valley we would usually only be in the 20s for the wind chills this time of year. So this is just really to show you that you need to, stay bundled up by dressing in layers by the time we get into tomorrow for your Thursday, as lots of these areas are likely going to see those negatives, the teens, and even the 20s. Some of those single digits might even reach Kentucky. So like I said, definitely make sure you are very bundled up, especially if you live across the upper Midwest. But of course, you guys far down south who aren't used to the single digit wind chills this time of year, you guys should also bundle up a lot too, as well, as tomorrow is definitely going to be frigid. And then not only will we see a lot of that cold air, we will also see that potential for even some snowfall, as we got a pretty big band of snowfall to watch for by the time we get into tomorrow. And like I said, at the same time, we'll see a lot of that cold air surge on in, bringing, some very cold wind chills, like I said. So make sure, like I said, to also get ready, for snowfall too as well. Not only those wind chills, but also that snowfall, as we will see, that chance for even some lake effect snowfall, including Cleveland, Detroit, back up there towards Marquette, even places like Erie, Buffalo, New York, into Rochester, Watertown. All you guys are likely to see some snowfall as we get into tomorrow. So like I said, not only bundle up, but also get ready for some pretty heavy snowfall, as some of this could even be lake effect. And not only will we be dealing with both low wind chills and as well as snowfall, but we will also be dealing with gusty winds tomorrow, which is one of the reasons why we are seeing that cold of wind chills, okay? Because as of right now, we got wind advisories in effect for the Midwest, back into a little bit there of the Great Lakes, and maybe even into parts there of the Ohio Valley by the time we get into tomorrow, which is when most of this wind advisory will be in effect for. We also could see some strong gusty winds even across the mid-Atlantic, all the way back down there into the Carolinas, and we even got a small high wind warning in effect for the higher elevations in western North Carolina, which is actually the area that just got hit by Helene. So it is quite wild how we are seeing some pretty strong winds across that area, which is going to make it hard for them to, continue to get all that stuff up. So hopefully this weather won't be as extreme during, the next few weeks, so that way they can finish, cleaning up that area. But like I said, though, that whole area, including western North Carolina, will have that potential for strong gusty winds as we get into tomorrow, which could even bring those frigid wind chills once again. So we definitely will be watching that closely. And here's what the wind gusts look like, okay? For you guys up here in the upper Midwest, you guys are seeing anywhere from about 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts, with even some isolated 50 mile per hour winds developing. And then as that moves far down to the south, you guys across the Midwest and Ohio Valley will be seeing that potential for 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts, especially across this green color, and as well as the higher elevations there in North Carolina. So definitely, like I said, get ready for some pretty strong winds, even if you live across the Ohio Valley, as 30 to 40 mile per hour winds is definitely going to be likely across this entire area right here, including parts there in New England, which, like I said, you guys got that risk for some strong gusty winds as well. So like I said, definitely get ready for that, as things are definitely looking to be, quite intense for tomorrow, as we'll be dealing with snow, cold air, like I said, very cold wind chills, and of course those gusty winds, like I said, and these are in miles per hour, by the way. So like I said, definitely make sure you are getting ready for that. And then if we look at what we will see by the time we get into the weekend, we will thankfully start to warm up a little bit across a pretty good portion there of the United States, which, is good news after all of this cold air that we're expected to see on Thursday, which, like I said, is going to be for tomorrow. But this isn't going to be till we get into the weekend, especially on Sunday, December 8th of next week, where, like I said, we'll see a lot of that cold air go out, and we'll start to see a lot of that warm air start to surge right back on in, and that's what's going to be causing a small storm system right there to develop, as warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico is going to be surging on in, bringing a pretty, healthy storm system, bringing a lot of heavy rainfall from the deep south into the Tennessee valleys and even into the Ohio Valley, with maybe even a little bit of snowfall on the northern side of that system. And as that happens, it does remain uncertain, but by the time we get into December 9th, that storm system may bring a little bit of severe weather down there across eastern Texas and as well as into Louisiana. Now, like I said, guys, this, is a little bit uncertain still, because this isn't going to be till we get to the beginning of next week, which is still, about 5 days away from now. But like I said, though, this is, close enough to where we definitely will be watching it closely. And, it's always best to stay informed about this stuff, so make sure you are watching very closely if you do live in Louisiana and as well as eastern Texas. And then let's now go ahead and look at some long range, forecast. This is just to see what we could, see as we get into the future, pretty much what we, may expect as we get into the future. And this is gonna be right after the weekend and as we get into the middle of next week on Wednesday, December 11th. As you guys can see, we'll see a huge storm system potentially developing across the eastern United States. Now, keep in mind that this is the GFS model, which is bullish sometimes, which from what I'm seeing right now, this does look a little bit bullish to me, especially the snowfall on the backside of that system. But we are only heading, about 6 days away from when the storm system is expected to roll on through. Cause like I said, this isn't going to be till we get to Wednesday of next week, which will be about 6 to 7 days away from now. So, it's still a little uncertain on what we will see, but we'll definitely be watching this very closely by the time we get into the middle of next week. So definitely make sure you are on high alert if you do live anywhere in the eastern United States, as some snowfall and of course some widespread rainfall is definitely going to be possible with that storm system. So that's something we will have to watch closely for. And after that, we might need to watch another storm system that could roll on through. Now, we are at the end of the model run, so this probably isn't really going to be anything, like what it's showing right here, but it's definitely, like I said, something to keep an eye on, especially as we get into December 18th, which, is over a week out. So it's obviously not really looking like anything, concerning as of right now because of how far we're looking out, but it's definitely, enough to where we will be watching it closely, as things could definitely start to ramp up by the time we get into December 18th. Let's now go ahead and look at your total snowfall. This time we're going to use the GFS model just to kind of get a little bit of an idea on what to see, because the last few times we used the national blend of all models, but this time we're going to take a look at the GFS model to see what it thinks. And like I said, that's mainly just to get a good idea on what we could see. And with the GFS model, this is anywhere from now all the way to December 12th, which will be as we get into Thursday of next week. And this model wants to show a pretty big strip of around a foot of snowfall across, parts there of the Central Plains, back into parts there of the Midwest, into the Northern Ohio Valley, even parts there of the Great Lakes region, and even into Ontario, and maybe even as far east as New Brunswick. So we will need to be watching those areas very closely, as a lot of those areas, including Canada, will have that potential for some very heavy snowfall. So like I said, make sure you are watching a lot of these areas very closely, as like I said, one of those storm systems, including the one during the middle of next week, could bring that potential for some heavy snowfall across that area. It's just that it's only one model, so we can't really confirm that this will happen, but since it is showing it, like I said, we will definitely watch it closely, and it's always best to be on high alert when you're seeing this type of stuff. And then for your total precipitation, also using the GFS model, we will also be watching the eastern United States for, some pretty high amounts of precipitation. So even if you're not going to be seeing snow, you could also really see that potential for some flooding, especially areas south of Tennessee, anywhere from eastern Texas all the way back down there into Georgia could definitely see some flooding by the time we get into next week. So we will need to be watching a couple of these storm systems closely, like I said, especially the one during the middle of next week, which does look to bring widespread rainfall and of course heavy rainfall, as even the Ohio Valley and Northeast could even experience some pretty good amounts of precipitation. It's just that this is still a little far out, so we can't, like I said, we can't really confirm exactly what we're gonna see. But like I said, though, this is to the point where we will be watching it closely, as well above average precipitation is definitely likely across a lot of this area, as we could be talking as high as about I would probably say around 5 inches of rainfall, especially across this area right here, which could definitely be the area to see the most rainfall as we get into next week. But thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy today's weather forecast. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so that way you can stay up to date with the latest, as we will be tracking these storm systems, like I said, which will be capable of producing a lot of snow and rainfall, and of course maybe even that potential for some severe weather down there in the plains and deep south. So like I said, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, so that way we can keep you guys updated with the latest. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up too as well. Those help out more than you know, and once again, they really help out the channel a lot, so make sure to like down below if you haven't already. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have down below. You guys can leave anything down below, as long as it's respectful. And I hope you guys all have a great Wednesday, and we will see you in the next one, everyone. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.